Hello, everybody. Glad to be back with you guys. It really is. So, with that said, we're going to welcome some of you guys before we kick it into the coverage in regards to some of these connections. Just want to put a disclaimer out there to anybody who's the person who just simply watches one particular 5-10 second segment. Like, you got to really watch what is delivered. You got to listen and see the material for yourself. Okay. And we could all get along, right? Maybe not. It's okay. Let's go ahead and welcome some of you guys. Again, please smash that like. It does trigger the YouTube algorithm and also the X algorithm. So if you're on X, please do that as well. And I do appreciate it. Let's welcome you guys. The first comment of the day comes from the one and only Mr. Tim Shea, who says, "Hey," and sprays from far away. Has everybody hitting the DECK. The mayor of crypto, the crypto commissioner, representing the 589th district of the XRP Army and his fellow constituents. Thank you so much, Mr. Tim freaking Shea. Yes, sir, Duda. All right. We also have the one and only Yamaha Pacifica. Welcome back. Welcome back. You guys know how it goes. We welcome some of you guys for a little bit and we kind of let more people funnel in. But glad to have Yamaha Pacifica back. He says he's early. Cool. I'm glad that you're early. Jasmy West, Jasmy about to break out in the coming days. These are positive catalysts. I'm not going to say it necessarily will. I mean, it could. But when you see the outline, again, no hype, come to your own conclusions with what was presented. That's all I do. I present material. People do as they want with it. All right. You're thinking Jasmy is a top pocket crypto. Interesting. Hey, welcome back to the Coin Guy, Crypto Coin Guy, I should say. It's good evening, everyone. Shout out to Crypto Coin Guy and the Elmo community, right? Yes. Max don't have to do that, but Max does it anyway because what does it hurt me to do it, right? Shout out to you, man. All right. Jasmy West sold Doge to buy Jasmy by looking at a thumbnail. Interesting. That's so good. You might have other reasons, right? Anyway, Goo God is back. $7. You know what? I can't do it tonight. I'm piecing something together in which I'm gonna take a segment from last Saturday's. It was either last Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. It was the Jasmy 8th year anniversary Twitter Space event. And man, shout out to Dip Metaverse. Shout out to the one and only Brian. They brought us some really interesting, deep dive content, some alpha. And I'm just going to state this as far as the whole thing of 1787 and higher, I have decided to reevaluate my portfolio when it comes to Jasmy. And, again, it's not financial advice for anybody else, just for me personally. Jasmy also is no longer just top 5 for me. Hear me out. I have done this over the course of 2 years. Jasmy is officially my number 3 as far as what I expected to perform the most out of my entire portfolio. And that's a bold statement. So I still want to state this. QNT XRP, number 1, tied for number 1. People agree with that or not. Again, this is my own personal opinion. Number 2 is Stellar, and I do have an announcement to make in regards to Stellar. I am on the fence when it comes to the idea of Stellar continuing it with the big epic coverage in regards to AI. Again, that's your only hint you're going to get. Or just make it its own separate thing because I don't know, but I'm really on the fence of just coming out with the coverage tomorrow and going from there. Over the weekend, when they had that Jasmy 8th year thing, right? That was a 3-hour long Twitter space. And right immediately after, instead of, enjoying my weekend and going out or whatever, right? I went down the rabbit hole. I know this is just real quick, right? We'll get into the lovely Jasmy coverage here in a bit. But Stellar, that was something else. 8-hour long going down the rabbit hole. And you will love what you see with that. Okay. And I didn't do anything that everybody typically does, just a tad bit as an intro, and I elaborated on it. And man, it just opened up so many things. I never researched Stellar like I did the other night. Stellar you guys thing, tune in for that. Might be tomorrow, but tonight is obviously Jasmy. So, yes, Jasmy is my number 3 now. Okay, I actually have it ahead of H bar, and that's nothing against H bar because I'm extremely bullish on H bar. So, again, one more time, just tuning in. I have QNT XRP number 1. Number 2 is Stellar, and when you see that coverage, you'll understand why. And number 3 is now Jasmy. So, and then number 4, of course, would be Kddi. As far as number 5 and so on, I mean, I have to kind of reevaluate that, but those are my strong 4. How about that? That's my Mount Rushmore of crypto. Okay, maybe I make some really cool looking image about that. That'd be kind of fun, right? Anyway, shout out to you guys. Please smash the like. It does trigger the algorithm. You're gonna appreciate the coverage. I can almost guarantee it. Maybe some people just kind of skip over it, and that's okay. Just gonna welcome a couple more of you guys. Again, more people filter in definitely helps. Digital GG in the house. Hello, Taco Tuesday. Yes, yeah, I'm absolutely gonna hit up some of that. Probably after the show. Try like a maniac to the other side of town. Not really like a maniac, but anyway, Rubio's is where it's at. All right, Beebs in the house. Good evening, crypto future millionaires. Let's go. All right. Max, bring it. Thank you, Landy. Welcome back. Welcome back. Dennis Little in the house. Max is cooler than ice cream. Huh. Never been referred to in that light before, but that's cool. Thank you, though. And Jong, thank you so much. Appreciate it. You reached 100,000, Jasmine. That's awesome, man. Glad that you have reached your goals. I always like hear people reaching their goals. It's not a what measuring contest. My goals different than other people's goals, but you set your goals, and there's nothing wrong with proof. Letting the world know, hey, guess what? You reached that. That's awesome, guys. Give Travel the World a shout out. You know what I mean? We're community. Always welcome people. White Knight Crypto, great to hear you again, Max. Big news with Microsoft investing into crypto into Japan, I should say. And then we're gonna talk about it. Ain't no fluff. I found some things. Really, you guys know what you're accustomed to. Found some things. If I didn't think it was anything solid, I've just been like, retweet, good to go. It was some solid things. Okay. Anyway. All right. Perfect clicks. Welcome. Kunk City. Appreciate you too. Thank you very much. We're going to welcome a few more you guys. OG Crypto. Glad to have you. Andrew Gonzalez, GG, Crypto Homes 777. Really do appreciate that. John says he's Filipino smashing that like button here in Kuwait. Well, salamat, salamat to all our fellow Filipino Ice Cube brethren, right? Boom, boom, boom. Thank you very much. Real crypto news. Thank you. Here's the last comment for now. Take a long line. Here's a rhythm for your algorithm. I always remember you. Rhythm for the algorithm. You say, Jasmy labeled the Bitcoin of Japan. You guys don't think I pay attention to some of your comments, especially the regulars? You better believe I do. All right. What we're going to do now is just rewarm a comment from Philip Jackson. Always welcome people that you may normally not see. He says, hello, everyone. Good day. All right. Thank you very much. We are now going to kick it into the outline. Let's get the branding going. The moment everybody's been waiting for, maybe. I don't know. Going to go ahead and do that. Let's just see how we're doing real quick. I know it gets tiresome, me reminding you guys about smashing the like, but it's free, and it really, if you really appreciate the coverage, it's the least you could do. 53 people watching on YouTube, 33 likes. We could do way better on those likes. And then let's see here. We do have 39 on X. Actually, more people on YouTube than X today. Interesting. Well, I'm not complaining. Combined total of about 95. We'll get more people here. Share the show with other people. There's other shows going on as we speak, so I understand how that goes. All right, let's get into some key details. Now, there's going to be lots of shout outs tonight, but the first shout out of the night is going to go to this wonderful person, a guy who I highly respect and I am more than thankful for. Okay. It is Chad G. All right. What does Chad have? Well, we're going to go ahead and full screen this. Some of you guys have already seen this on X, but I promise you, I would never just share something that's been shared and not elaborate a little bit more about it or try to find some more detailed information in regards to that. So, Chad G, if you happen to be watching tonight, we're on the chopped up version. We do appreciate you as far as our community. Let's go ahead and full screen this. What does Chad have to share? Well, it says Microsoft to invest United States 2.9 billion in AI and cloud infrastructure in Japan while boasting what? Now I get where people are coming from. You know, I've gotten criticism. Oh God, every time something's mentioned about Japan, you guys from the Jasmy community immediately think that it's Jasmy. I wouldn't do that. You know, this is where we have a difference of regulars and people who consistently watch the content, appreciate the content, and understand. No, we don't do that. I've never done that, right? Don't provide fluff. Let's give you guys some more about this here in just a moment. So as we go to the actual outline, okay, you will see that there's a link here, and we'll full screen this as well. And it goes on to mention specifically this, okay? AI, cloud infrastructure, Microsoft invests 2.9 billion in Japan while boosting the nation's skills, research, and again, this keyword, cybersecurity. Now, again, this says April 10th, but in reality, it was April 9th. And, you know, you got to keep in mind, it's not even the 10th where we're at, right? So this is the 9th technically, but, you know, that they're on the other side of the world, right? So, but for most of us in the Western Hemisphere and so on, it's still the 9th. If you're in Europe, maybe it's not the 9th anymore, right? So some key people here, right? You recognize some of these guys, whether you want to agree with the politics or not. Let's not get into that. But one thing I want to point out is this whole statement of, for example, you know, where it mentions hyperscale cloud computing, AI infrastructure in Japan to expand digital skilling programs, digital, with goal of providing AI skilling to more than 3 million people over the next 3 years, open its first Microsoft Research Asia lab in Japan, and deepen its cybersecurity collaboration with government in Japan. Now, I want to state this. I understand this is spelled deep in, but I'm just going to give you guys a clue. On the second segment, because we have more than one, okay? On the second segment for Jasmy, after we take our break, you want to pay attention to Junction and Deepin. Now, I understand Deepin is spelled Depin, but I just want to point that out as well. All right, check this out. This is good stuff. When I got more into this whole thing about cybersecurity collaboration with the government of Japan, I was thinking to myself, I remember talking about some of this stuff, especially with the roundtable. Shout out to, you know, our brother Jesse, KIR Finance, and of course, Rob Mass over at Crypto Future 99. You guys should be following those guys if you haven't done so already, right? They provide great content, great community people, but actual great research, right? So you see here that these investments aim to support Japan's key pillar to tackle deflation. As you guys know, with all the recent reports that we've had in regards to inflation, again, this is just Japan with another great example of specifically why they're leading the charge. And let's face it, while we're not here in the United States, as we get more into this, you're going to see other key things being mentioned. And I'm just going to jump right into that. So, number one is this the leadership statements. Obviously, Fumio Kishida, Prime Minister of Japan, goes on to mention some of these things. This quote here I like. As economic activities in the digital space increase, it's important to, or I should say, it is important for the Japanese industry as a whole to work with global companies like Microsoft that are equipped with a set of digital infrastructure. We appreciate Microsoft announcement, of the new investment in Japan. Microsoft has made significant contributions to the social implementation of the generative AI in Japan through various initiatives and so on. Another key word for you, if you're the type of guy taking notes for whatever reason, social, okay? I want to pound that home so much, social, okay? Because when you understand why we mentioned some of these keywords, then you'll have your aha moment, Because at the end of the day, what's the point of watching all this or listening to all this if there's nothing really solid? Then it is just fluff, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next part of this. You see it again. We are honored to contribute to Japan. This is in regards to the statement from Miki Susaka, president of Microsoft Japan. Probably not pronouncing that right. Apologize. So, honored to contribute to Japan and its future with our largest investment to date, technology and knowledge. Technology and knowledge. Think about that for a second. In collaboration with our partners, Microsoft Japan is fully committed to supporting the people and organizations of Japan to solve social problems and achieve more. Again, social problems. All the research we talked about in the past in regards to data harmonization, and society 5.0, and just a whole slew of things, right? As we get more into this outline, I'll full screen this part, and I'm not going to read everything verbatim, but it's worth pointing out the key areas. Tokyo Metropolitan Government, Microsoft entered into a partnership last year, if you weren't aware of it, and have been empowering Japan's workforce with what? Digital skills. Today's announcement by Microsoft, which includes programs to encourage women to embrace AI and provide AI skilling to the 3 million people, is again a significant step for Japan to lead the age of digitalization. So there's no matter of if it's going to do it, they are doing it. And like we point out before, especially when it comes to crypto, which particular cryptocurrency do you see like really doing well at the beginning of the bull run? Jasmy has definitely led that charge. But we have talked about the whole thing of, contributing to the local society of Japan, and, the concept of the personal data locker and date, like for what we talked about, for example, a point system, and how much will you earn by monetizing your data, how much you're actually contributing to the local society. And I did mention some of these key things about maybe it was bullet trains or public transportation. Here's another example of that. So Tokyo Metropolitan Government pioneered the use of generative AI to make their offices more efficient, improve the quality and services provided to their citizens. They will continue to embrace cutting edge technology and lead Japan's digital transformation. Talks about Unitar, Microsoft strive to do what? Democratize access to AI education. Now, I want to take a pause on that for a second. In the past, I've done deep dives in regards to Kazumasa Sato, and we talked about, for example, specific programs for education, and we've done deep dives about that. Is this another example? Well, or is that just a big, as the saying goes, coincidence? I don't necessarily think it is, but it's always worth pointing out. And of course, you can go back into some of those sections. I don't know if it's necessary on this channel, but you're more than welcome to look more into that. And I will elaborate a little bit more about education, AI governance, and specifically the whole concept of, for example, integrity when it comes to AI and why it's so important. And reference for you guys on a future outline, I'm not done with it. A few countries, they're putting a lot of emphasis in regards to it. It's not just Japan. We got, South Korea, we got Taiwan, but there's various other countries that are putting a lot of emphasis on the integrity of not having biasness when it comes to data. And again, back to the whole thing of Elon Musk when he was talking about some of that stuff of, he wants X to be the platform, the all-in-one everything app, but specifically recognizing free speech and non-bias AI. I mean, call it what you want. That's the thing. I'll get more into that on another particular day. Look out for that. Now, I want to jump over to this and shout out to Neo X Tricks, okay? Because what's important here is I just mentioned the whole thing in education. I'm going to elaborate so much on this, but shout out to our brother Neo. Let's full screen this as well. He posted this, I believe, earlier today, or actually yesterday, I should say. And, he states he has a document that relates to what kind of meeting Kazumasa Sato attended as a representative of Jasmy in Japan. It's a good read. I do agree. It is a good read. The key takeaway from this, because I don't want to read the whole thing, is where you see back a couple years ago that you have this whole thing of research projects completed in the regards to the whole thing of the impactful changes of geopolitical risks. And again, here's now your key words: geopolitical risks on Japan's industrial structure and science and technology, commissioned by Watanabe Memorial Foundation for the Promotion of New Technology. You got to keep in mind, Kazumasa Sato had that thing going on, and he spoke about this a couple years ago about education in the metaverse. Here is your key aha moment. It goes on to mention that they did this whole thing in regards to research on the metaverse that contributes to solving social issues. Okay, interesting. Look at this part: research grant. Research on applied technologies in regional revitalization measures, to realize a decarbonized society. Okay, so this was 2 years ago, but again, all these terms popping up about social issues, metaverse, new technology, all of these key things worth pointing out. And especially when you see that August of apparently 2021, there was a commission by the Cabinet Office to review the FY 2020 roadmap in regards to comprehensive research of why this is all significant in regards to these new technologies and so on. So, why mention this? Well, again, fast forward to some of the things that were also referenced. So, I'm going to jump back to this whole thing of Microsoft. And as we get to this, you will see some of the citations. Okay. So, what I want to do is when you go here to news.microsoft.com APAC 2024, it will give you some of these key links towards the bottom and so on, right? And some of the citations, especially about Unitar and some of these other things. Okay. And when I got into this, I said to myself, this is really, really interesting to say the least. Why is that? Well, jumping over, one of the links that they send you to is this, and it's in regards to specifically Japan's security policy. Now, as we get more into the outline, I will give you guys a fast forward clip to the part where Jesse of KIR Finance was talking about, for instance, you know, would like something like the Japanese military use like a PDL and his reasons for that. All right. So we're gonna tie in all of this stuff. I know it's very bold to say some of these things. I know I don't have confirmation, but I can connect the dots enough to give you an understanding of some of this stuff and also dates. All right. We're gonna also point some of these things out. Okay. You have to stick around for all the presented material, otherwise you're gonna miss it. So let's go ahead and full screen this as well. And what you'll see here is a little bit about this whole post from mofa.go.jp. So in the citations from that Microsoft link, when you go into it, it talks about some of these things, right? About national security strategy, the NSS. And when I jumped into this, I saw this statement from December 16th, 2022, about the National Security Strategy PDF and other strategy documents, basic policies on national security, and how they were decided by the NSC and approved by the cabinet. So, again, I'm going to take you over to that and check this out for a second. This is very, very interesting, in my opinion. As we get into this, hopefully I can zoom in a little bit more. As we get into this, yes, you will see that you have a statement from the National Security Strategy of Japan, again, December 2022. And the reason I want to point this out is this is how we tie some of these things that we mentioned. This right here, National Security Strategy of Japan, okay? Let's jump down to a second as we get into it. It says, Japan will consider reviewing government procurement procedures, including those by local municipalities, as well as expanding the scope of the prior screening. with regard to critical infrastructure field in regards to, a thing called Promotion Act. And look at this part. With regard to data and information protection, Japan will carry out additional measures to ensure more appropriate management of sensitive data and safety and reliability of information and communication technology services. Very interesting. In addition, keeping in mind information security practices of leading countries and needs of the industries, examinations that would be bolstered to Japan's information security, including security clearance. So, I want to share this other thing with you guys as well. And this is another one that's kind of cited from a site just like this. Let's take you over to this as well. And it's regards to Japan's legislation for peace and security, the development of security legislation. Again, security legislation. Now, when we saw our biggest moments when it comes to Jasmy, was always due in a reference of an action or something that happened. The first big one where we left the 0.0056 area for Jasmy and took it to over a penny is when we saw the announcement of what? Bills becoming acts. As we know, acts are laws. For me, there's too much that is here that cannot be dismissed. If people from whatever communities want to dismiss it, hey, that's on them. Again, I just present material. Take it as you will. Let's full screen this as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. I thought this was really something else. So, development of, what does it say? Seamless security legislation to ensure Japan's survival and protect its people. Back all the way to, like, for example, 2014, and then really getting the ball rolling in 2015, especially when it comes to, the late, great Shinzo Abe's proposal in regards to jump-starting Japan and having the United States, join forces and investing in startups with VC funding and so on, right? Long before the talk of Web3. When I got into this, I decided to look into a little bit more about the development of security legislation and the outline of Japan's legislation for quote unquote peace and security. At that particular legislation session, they had us talk about seamless responses to any situations to secure the lives and peaceful livelihood of the Japanese people, and for Japan to contribute to the peace and stability of the international community. Now, I understand these are bold statements, but if you go over to, and here's this citation, cas.go.jp, you will find this. And it's, of course, a provisional translation. But what's really interesting is when you get into some of the nitty gritty about this, and here it is. Let's go ahead and make sure all the settings are good. They are. And it talks about specifically the cabinet's decision on development of seamless security. And I thought it was interesting to see how many things were mentioned here. And I don't want to get into a big old history topic, but during the 67 years since the Constitution of Japan came into effect, the security environment around Japan has fundamentally transformed and is continuing to evolve. And Japan is confronted by complex and significant national security challenges. They are. Getting more into this, I'm going to jump down to this part. They talk about the direct influence on security for Japan. They talk about a lot of this stuff in regards to risks, right? But they talk about maintaining the peace and security of Japan, ensuring its survival as well as securing its people's lives, and how it's the primary responsibility for the government. As we got more into the whole thing of this topic, you even see, for example, the whole thing with the United States mentioned. Important to appropriately develop and maintain cooperative measures, right? Operate Japan's own defense capabilities, strengthen mutual cooperation with the U.S. While there's tons of things getting into here, what's also incredibly interesting is when we get down to this part about a legal basis for security. And look what it says. In accordance with the basic orientation presented by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the May 15th press conference, which took place after the reported advisory panel on reconstruction of legal basis for security, there was a submission on that same date, discussions about the ruling parties, an examination of this thing that was conducted by the Japanese government. Look at this part. It talks about the discussions of the ruling coalition, how the government will promptly develop domestic legislation necessary for securing the lives and peaceful livelihood of its people. And of course, with basic policies that does address self-defense and, their policies on how they would go about things and so on. I don't want to get into all of that specifically, but it's there. And it was profound to see how everything has snowballed from 2015. One more thing to share in regards to Japan's security policy. And again, very interesting that this came from a link from that Microsoft article. Okay. So you got to think about the bilateral and multilateral security cooperation. Talks about some of these things. The East Asia Summit, I covered that in the past. I think some members of our community talked about this. But this whole thing about Japan making efforts to realize a regional security environment desirable for Japan by strengthening the U.S.-Japan alliance, combining bilateral and multilateral security cooperation at multiple levels. All right. Let's take you to why all of this is important and why I'm mentioning it. And I'm going to now fast forward to this key part. Shout out to Jesse. There's a little bit of Rob in this roundtable. You guys might have seen it, but it's still good to reference this. After we reference it, I'm going to take it to another key thing that was in regards to 2023. And it's interesting to tie it all in together, to say the least. And then after that, we'll pause and we'll get into the comments. And the last part will be another thing that, in my opinion, is an absolute bombshell in regards to Toyota, Kddi, and all of it. Smash a like if you appreciate the coverage. Let's have you take a look at this. I really do think it's something else. Here we go. Please make sure you're following Jesse, KIR Finance, and of course, Rob Mass, the Crypto Future 99. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Here we go.
Something else to kind of tap into, a couple things I wrote down while you guys were talking there. The post from Jasmy US that you shared, Rob, about the military. Think about all the touch points with IoT in the military, right? Is the military interested in IoT? Absolutely. Depending on whatever wearables, a soldier is wearing, depending on what's going on in a military base, depending on what's going on in a military vehicle, there could be a million different IoT touch points in the military. That's just one example of it. Another example of it that we've talked about, I think before is, look at all the military secrets and whatnot that are just spilled on the internet on Discord because someone's trying to impress their friends, right? Some of this stuff could be locked up in the PDL. So the military angle, ironically enough, Hara, I want to say, brought that up, I think in AMA, maybe sometime over the last year, a military angle to this. And, when this post here is talking about the US, but could that tie into something with Japan? You got to realize that Japan is an ally. So yes, it could, right? You think about the different countries that are involved in NATO, for example. Do they share technology between the companies? Yeah, or between the countries? Yes, they do, right? So all of that does actually happen with allies. So there could be a lot more there. Now, I wanted to say also, kind of going back to the talk about PlayStation, right, and the GPUs. So I had actually looked into this recently because the Junction website is out there. It's like semi-functional, like the tabs up top don't work and don't go anywhere, but the information that's on the actual site is valid. And one of the images on the site, like if you scroll down, there's an image of the GPU specs, and it talks about right there. You just passed it. Go up a little bit, up, down a little bit, right there. So I looked at these specific GPUs that were listed because I was curious, because somebody had posted a question on X and they said, can I use my PlayStation 2 for this? Like, I have an old PlayStation. It's just sort of collecting dust. Could I plug it in and contribute? And so the interesting part was when I looked into these various GPUs, none of them directly showed up in PlayStation. Okay. So there might be more GPUs. Obviously, there's some additional slots here that are kind of like grayed out currently that may be coming online. But what I found very interesting was the reference to the Apple M2 Max. Okay. So the Apple M2 Max is in the Apple Studio. And the irony here is that I actually have an Apple Studio. And so theoretically, I could be contributing to the Jasmy network with my unused computer power. And where I find this really fascinating, where you take this one step further, is you say, okay, so what does that mean, Jesse? Who cares, right? Well, who cares is that Ando-san and his time at Sony directly, heavily influenced Apple. Okay. And now here we are kind of coming full circle back to potentially using an Apple product that ties back into Jasmy. And it kind of makes you think a little bit under the surface that I don't know what Apple's relationship is specifically in Japan right now, but it makes me think that there might be something happening there. And I don't know what it is. Nothing's been announced, but it's right here on the Junction website. So think about that.
Well, just to chime in on that really quick, I covered last week that Apple's newest line of laptops actually had a data leakage problem, right? I don't know if you guys saw that or not. And I was like, well, Jesus, who solves this problem, right? Like,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what do you guys think? I see massive potential there. Like, I was sitting there saying, listen, when this came out, tell me from a business standpoint, if I am somebody over at Jasmy that matters, right? And I see, I mean, obviously they're going to be in the know about these kind of things happening in the tech world, right? They're going to be paying attention. They got their finger on the pulse, right? So if I'm seeing this happening and I am somebody that matters over at Jasmy, for example, I'm definitely picking up the phone and putting feelers out there to say, hey, you know that leakage problem that you got with your data? Guess what?
All right. So, yes, the whole thing about that leakage problem that you have. Now, at the very beginning of this outline, okay, notice that we mentioned Microsoft's announcement April 9th, okay? Here's maybe one of your aha moments. Take it whatever way you want. But we did mention that. When we get into this next part, Hara mentioned this, and I also want to give a shout out to Little Bidman as well. So Hara goes on to mention, I believe earlier today, right? Today's still the 9th, technically speaking. He says, we are always looking for talented people. He thinks the same for all web companies. Young engineers need to find a place to develop their skills and get results in popular projects. They're always looking for talented people, and they hope that you will achieve results through your projects and further brighten your career. To take it to the extreme, if you haven't built a career that appeals to you, working on a well-known project involved, don't chat too much, show and facilitate. He cites Junction and, of course, Jasmy. But Little Bidman, he posted this. It says Jasmy Co. recruitment. Again, this is, going straight to, I guess you could say, like their hiring page. Recruitment for information of blockchain product development, data marketplace mechanism, all that good stuff. But look what it also shows. Building a platform that uses the latest technology that combines blockchain tech, right, And also IoT, AI, they ask for the development of new functions, products for the platform. Here's some of the tasks you need to do. Perform the functions of the following: foundation development, middleware development, application development. Because we are doing what? Developing in cooperation. There's another key word for you. With external partner companies. We will leave you with your areas of expertise and interest. Check this out. Talks about the integration of all this, the boundaries, the industries, unparalleled ideas. Jasmy aims to restore sovereignty of data to the original owner, individual data safely, securely, and generates a secure drive dedicated to business managed by the blockchain in the PC to protect the data. But again, this whole thing about partner companies, external partner companies. And then you jump back to, just in case you missed it, this announcement. Remember how it mentioned specifically skills, cybersecurity, the announcement on also the 9th. Boom, the 9th. Hara's announcement on the 9th. I mean, some people say it's a coincidence. I don't know. May have some research. I don't know. All right, that's a little inside joke. But anyway, it's very, very interesting to say the least. And can we give you an example in regards to big companies or external companies? What's another reference? Do you guys remember this announcement? Maybe you do if you've been following Jasmy for a while. This announcement from a while back stating from August, and I remember covering this, former Sony execs laying down data security gambit to who? To tech giants. I mean, come on. Microsoft is a huge tech giant. Panasonic's a huge tech giant. Interesting. Did we forget about this? Are you new to Jasmy? And if you are, let's welcome you. Look at this. Kazumasa Sato, assigned to Sony Corp's Information Tech section as a fresh economics graduate in 1980, right? He has a background, the whole thing of using IBM's mainframe. But you have to appreciate some of these guys. They're like the pioneers, When you go further down into it, the establishment of Jasmy in 2016, coming out of the whole thing of 2015 from a direct reaction of what we talked about in regards to, Shinzo Abe's initiative, okay? And getting more into this. This is good stuff. I actually will come back out of the frame, sorry. Look what it says. Last summer, there could be a network that is what? More secure and safe. Sato, the 66-year-old, he's 66 then, he's probably 67 now. President of the venture said in an interview, we are from Sony. So he loved to take a shot at doing things that other people can't do. I mean, that's bullish as all hell. The ambition resulted in a service called Personal Data Locker. Right, we know about that. But unlike conventional centralized data management system in which personal data is stored in a particular server, the service employs the blockchain to store data in a decentralized way without depending on dedicated physical servers. Prevents falsification. And what does that also say? Loss of data. Back to what Rob was talking about. I know Rob is doing a live show as we speak. It's all good. Right? But Rob talked about the leakage of data. Did he not? Look at this. Encoded digital ledgers stored across the network, computers, does not allow data to be modified, deleted by a single actor. Helps users identify and trace unintended use of their data by a third party as it is inherently trackable on the ledger. Got citations about WITS, Nippon Travel, Nagoya. So a lot of things to be mentioned here. And I think it's extremely important to point out some of these key things. Because, when you get down to this part about the interest in generative AI, ChatGPT, and how it's all booming, he says that there's a risk that if one enters sensitive information, it could be absorbed into the system and lead into unintended data leak. Again, this is all cited from last summer. Boy, is it valid today, is it not? Combination of Jasmy's data, security technology, AI could create a kind of AI optimized for personal use without worrying about data security. And such AI could be installed into various devices such as cars, smart speakers, other things. I'll get more into the whole thing about Junction here in a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys. And then after this, we'll get into the comments and bring you the information in regards to the second part of this quote unquote bombshell. It has to do with Genki Oda. Okay. But if anything, let's go ahead and play this. This is about 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Mark Reddick, thank you. I think I've seen you on the show before in the comments. So thank you for this. Just providing you, the community a very well done video. All right. Let's go ahead and play this. Here we go.
Feature. Former Sony execs lay down data security gambit to tech giants. Kyoto News. By Yuki Yamaguchi, Kyoto News, August 9, 2023, 15:35. All. Feature. Japan. When Kazumasa Sato was assigned to Sony Corp's information technology section as a fresh economics graduate in 1980, he was baffled. Maintaining an information system using IBM mainframe computers was not precisely what he had envisioned doing at one of the country's most famous tech companies, known for innovative products such as the iconic Walkman cassette player and Trinitron TV. But about 40 years later, Sato says that experience set the course for his career. His fascination with networks eventually led him to set up a data security venture utilizing blockchain technology with other former Sony innovators, including former President Kunitake Ando. Jasmy Inc. President Kazumasa Sato, C., Executive Officer Hidehiko Kakanuma, L., and Head of Software Development Takashi Hagiwara posed for a photo in the company's office in Tokyo on July 3, 2023. Kyoto. Jasmy Inc., established in 2016, aims to create a world where people can have control over their personal data at a time when big tech firms such as Google LLC and Apple Inc. have obtained an unfathomable amount of personal information from customers across the globe. There could be a network that is more secure and safe, Sato, the 66-year-old president of the venture, said in an interview. We are from Sony, so we love to take a shot at doing things that other people can't do. The ambition resulted in a service called Personal Data Locker, a platform where people can safely manage their data and decide how much they want to disclose to businesses or services they wish to use. Unlike the conventional, centralized data management system in which personal data is stored in a particular server, the service employs the blockchain to store data in a decentralized way, without depending on dedicated physical servers. This prevents falsification and loss of data as the blockchain, an encoded digital ledger stored across a network of computers, does not allow data to be modified or deleted by a single actor. It also helps users identify and trace unintended use of their data by a third party, as it is inherently trackable on the ledger, the company said. The service has already been adopted by Nippon Travel Agency Company, which uses it to manage customer information. Wits Corp., a Nagoya-based company that helps manage logistics at large events, also uses it to handle personal information, such as infections due to the coronavirus. Jasmy said it is looking to expand its customer base further. The venture has also created its own cryptocurrency, Jasmy Coin, with an eye to using it in the future as a reward for those who share their information. The virtual currency, which was first listed in Japan in 2021 and now held by more than 50,000 people, has a market capitalization of about $200 million as of the end of July. Ever since being initially shocked by the emerging concept of the internet in the early years of his career, Sato always had a passion for network-related businesses, he said. The internet was a concept that had been non-existent before, said Sato, who later helped launch internet service provider businesses at Sony and served as president of Sony's e-commerce unit. It threw common sense out the window. It was extremely attractive. Jasmy Inc. President Kazumasa Sato speaks during an interview at the company's office in Tokyo on July 3, 2023. Kyoto. He left Sony in 2010 to pursue other opportunities, but as he saw the need for a safe internet rise on the back of increasing misinformation, online abuse, and concerns over the use of personal data, he decided to launch a venture to help create a network everyone can use more safely. Sato's idea attracted like-minded risk-takers from Sony. Takashi Hagiwara, a longtime engineer in charge of the development of the VAIO PC, quit the tech giant in 2020 with less than 1 year left before reaching the company's retirement age to join Jasmy. There is a sort of joy that is similar to solving a puzzle when we try to bring our ideas into reality, said Hagiwara, who oversees software development at the venture. That's what I felt at Sony, and what I continue to feel here, too. Hidehiko Kakanuma, who has a wealth of experience launching new businesses, including Sony Bank Inc., now serves as executive officer in charge of marketing at Jasmy. The emergence of blockchain technology is a really important factor, the 56-year-old executive said. With that, we can create a system that gives back to users when dealing with personal data. With various options under consideration, Sato says his ultimate goal is to combine its technology with artificial intelligence. While interest in generative AI, such as ChatGPT, is booming, he said there is always a risk that if one enters sensitive information, it can be absorbed into the system and lead to an unintended data leak. Supplied photo shows the login screen of Jasmy Inc.'s data security service Personal Data Locker. Photo courtesy of Jasmy Inc., Kyoto. The combination of Jasmy's data security technology and AI could create a kind of AI optimized for personal use without worrying about data security. Such an AI could be installed into various devices, such as cars and smart speakers, among other things, he added. If people feel threatened by exposing their personal data, they become reluctant to utilize data, he said. But if we are able to manage our data on our own, it will surely make the world more fun and convenient. Sato compared his company's service to making real-life decisions, such as how much personal information you wish to disclose when meeting new people or if you offer your name card when greeting someone in a business setting. This is what everybody does in real life, Sato said. You don't necessarily have to lie, but you don't really have to expose everything, either.
All right. We're going to take a break, obviously, here in a bit. But, all that was presented, again, if you missed any of it, you can always go back and watch the beginning of that, okay? The next part of what we're going to get into is in regards to some recent announcements from Genki Oda and why I feel as though it's very, very important. Toyota, Kddi, all of that, right? So definitely want to thank you guys so far for being here. I'm just going to double check a person's email that sent me some information. I want to make sure that I get his name right because, sometimes that's important, obviously. So let me see real quick. All right. Yeah, I got his name right. Okay. So what we're going to do now is jump into the comments. I did see a super chat came through. I do appreciate it. I guess Rob and I are having a little Jasmy competition going on. It's all good. I noticed, and that's cool. I'm happy for him. On YouTube, he's outperforming me big time. But on X, I'm smoking him. So it's all good. It's all good. Shout out to Rob. You guys obviously follow Rob. I saw some of you guys are on both channels. How cool is that? Trying to get your fix going on both things. That's interesting. You probably do the whole thing of like a phone and a TV, right? All right. So we're going to do now is recognize that super chat. It came from Patrick Collier. Thank you so much. $2.99 super sticker from Patrick. It also states that it's his anniversary, 4 months. Thanks, man. I do appreciate that. Patrick, the nice version of Suge Knight. Let's go. All right. Another announcement. Brian Dowie, member for 3 months. Thanks, Brian. Do appreciate that. We're going to kick it back into the last comments that we have and see what you guys have. All right. Yes, sir. Salamat. Yes. KK, welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Gregory Reyes from X. Our biggest turnout tonight is from X. Thanks for commenting on X. Says pound sign Jasmy. Gotta pound that Jasmy, right? You gotta be old school. You can't say hashtag. You gotta say pound sign. That's what we grew up with back in the day. Crypto 99 Kool-Aid. He says, what up? I have some non-sugar Kool-Aid. Anyway, zero sugar, what do you want to call it, right? Flavored water, basically. It's good stuff. I'm sure I'll take some heat about even drinking that. Max, you're only allowed to just drink water and nothing but water and no additives, no nothing. I get it. All right, let's go further down. And yes, welcome Richie Rich in the house somewhere. I didn't click on your name earlier. Sorry about that, Richie. But I know you're somewhere. All right. And what else we got? We got Corey Bebe in the house. Good to see you, Corey. All right. Stump Rider, thank you for being here. Saying what up to me and the whole fam. OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. All right. Soulboy14, thank you for being here. Are we Jasmy millionaires yet? Not quite. Maybe some of us, depending on their position or how much we loaded up, but I think a few have, but I think for the most part, we got to have a real plan as far as how long we're going to hold, right? But you guys got to do what you got to do, right? Not financial advice. All right, let's read this. Let's welcome ketones, not glucose. BSV's unbounding scaling is on sale. Thank you for that. Michael is holding tough. Only 200,000. Jasmy, more dips, more buys. Hey, no problem. I mean, that's still a pretty decent sized bag of Jasmy. All right. Let's see here. We have Shyla Hasib, if I'm pronouncing that right. She says, hi all. Well, thank you for being here. Shyla, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. It may be Shayla. I apologize. Either way, let us know how to pronounce your name. And guys, welcome her to the program. All right. God did. Let's go, Jasmy. Thank you very much. Let's go, scam. Yes, the 589th. Hey, Brian Dowie. Good to see you, man. Good to see Brian Dowie. All right. Let's see here. Beebs, thanks for watching the Caspa deep dive. I understand when it comes to Caspa, unless somebody covered it really early, I don't know. Everybody for the Caspa army is kind of gone with who they gone with, and that's more than understandable. But was glad to do a deep dive. I don't know how often I do it, but was glad to provide it to some of you guys. It was a very time-consuming thing to do a B-roll, right? I don't know if anybody saw that I actually put a B-roll on it because it was too much of just – it got to the halfway mark and there was no visualization. So I was like, oh, no, I got to have some B-roll going on. And so I tried to time some of the B-roll, and it did pretty well on the timing. All right, White Knight Crypto. Australian government, according to him, has just announced. What did they announce? Collaboration with Japanese government on cybersecurity. That's why I also included in the outline. So I'm glad you saw that as well. Cool stuff, right? All right. We're going to do also is go further down. Buckeye says, my man. Yes. Thank you very much. Brad Mills, welcome back. Good to see you, Brad. All right. Let's see here. Nice candle. So we have a candle going on for Jasmy. Let's double check real quick. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. May have a green candle. I don't know. Right? No, I don't see. 1.67% up on the 1 hour. I mean, better than nothing, right? All right. Brian Dowie got to have some avocado juice. Yes, and some castor oil. Shout out to Rayan and his mud butt. That's so bad. Poor Rayan. But he brought it upon himself, right? All right. Crypto info DYOR. Biz to the moon live from the metaverse. So what up, Max? Loving that Jasmy updates. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Give Biz to the moon a follow at crypto info _DYOR. All right. What else we got? Solo Prepper first live stream. Hey, man. Welcome. Glad to have you. Let's read this. Finally, a long statement. Been waiting for this all darn night, just to be honest. This is from the one and only Corey Bebe, a.k.a. Jasmy not the scam. Let's go. He states specifically, Max, with a bunch of countries jumping on board with the Bitcoin ETS, Hong Kong, Germany, London, possibly Korea. Man, what's the price of Bitcoin in the height of this market? That would be financial advice. And I do not provide financial advice. I do your own research with Max. Let's go. That's a scam. Price prediction, scam. Not really. Anyway. All right. Good stuff. Like that mud butt. Yeah. Everybody remembers that, right? Good stuff. All right. Maximus, nice. Crypto future saying time. Yeah, it is what it is, but it's okay. I mean, I'm not complaining. Let's double check how we're doing. 56 on YouTube, 273 on X. My God, 329 total. That's cool stuff. All right. we're going to do now is going to jump back to the last part of our outline. This is not a super long show tonight because it is Taco Tuesday and Rubio's got a sale on those shrimp tacos, man. You know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, not to scam. Let's go. All right. So yeah, I got to make a drive over across town, you know. Got to be like James Brown out of town on Greyhound, you know, just cruise on over to the west side of the PHX on a mission trying to get some that doesn't rhyme with anything, but that's all right. All right. We're gonna get now into the Jasmy last part of the coverage. Okay. This one's real, in my opinion, I think this is a little bit more bullish than the other news. In my opinion, this is probably like the real bombshell. You know, the Microsoft stuff was cool, but this to me is big, way, I don't know, bigger, huge, whatever you want to call it. Call it what you want. You know, anyway. Got to bust out the Max Scratcher once in a while. Got to get that sucker put as an NFT one of these days, right? So let's see here. All right. Pull up the banner if I can ever find it. Yes, yes, yes. Not to scam. Let's go. All right. Turn this on. It is kind of warming up lately. Anyway. Okay. So this is the last segment of the night in regards to Jasmy. Call it a deep dive. Call it whatever you want. Please smash the like. It does trigger the YouTube and X algorithms. All right. Let's jump into it. So I'm going to clear out some tabs just real quick. And I know I said to jump into it, but yeah, I just want to do that real quick. My bad. But, you know, all this stuff, very, very interesting to say the least, right? And, you know, why not point out all these key things? Okay, here we go. So, Jasmy AI, I want to give you a shout out, sir. Shout out to the one and only Samuel Kim, aka Jasmy AI. If you don't know who he is, you can follow him over on X, and basically here he is. He can be followed at Samuel Kim. Okay, and if I said something else, I'm sorry. So shout out to Samuel Kim, Jasmy AI. And he says that Genki Oda, yes, you know how many times I covered Genki Oda, drops Japan Alpha. He says, quote, as one example, in Japan, customer assets are managed with a virtually 100% cold wallet due to self-regulation, and this measure has worked, and no hacking damage has occurred from domestic businesses since 2020 when he introduced it, I should say. Now, there's a full article on this. I'm going to take you there. Before I do, I want to blow this up. And like it mentions, in Japan, customer assets are what? They are basically mandated to be managed with virtually 100% segregation and with security measures in place. Shows the example of a hot wallet going to a cold wallet, right? Like the Ledger. And by the way, make sure if you need a cold storage solution, you can get a discount in regards to the Decent wallet, right? All in the description. But fiat currencies mandated to be fully held in trust with trust companies, / banks. Customer crypto assets have to be managed by cold wallet. So what exactly is this all about? Is it a nothing burger? Don't think so. And basically speaking, there was so much to be shared here. Now, I want to get into this for a moment. I want to give a shout out to this guy. His name is, MS. Okay. In his email, he says to me basically that he has some info in regards to, Kddi. And he feels as though there's just too much there. But he didn't have anything to connect it to, for example, Jasmy. And I thought, well, neither do I. But as I saw this announcement and I also got more into it, I was like, aha. With what MS had to present and combine it with this, we do have something to connect. And that's why I wanted to elaborate a little bit more about it and have two Jasmy segments tonight instead of just one. So let's go ahead and full screen this. Shout out to MS. Really do appreciate you. And I want to get into this because I agree with Samuel Kim, Jasmy AI. This is some alpha. This is some big news from the one and only Genki Oda. We've done deep dives about Genki Oda. If you're not caught up on that, you're more than welcome to watch all that material, but check out what it mentions here specifically as we get more into it. So, as you can see, Hong Kong Web3 Festival 2024, Asian crypto markets, and the trends, spring 2024, basically we're in that, right? This is posted on April 6th, a few days ago. This is Genki Oda. Now, for all those that don't know who he is, you got to keep in mind SBI Japan. He's got the connection with the FSA, which is like, Japan's version of the SEC, and of course the JVCEA. We're talking about regulation city, but embracing it, right? Not like our SEC. That's Genki Oda. So yes, SBI Japan. We even mentioned BitPoint. I think even Bajit. So many connections to Jasmy. And just in case, you wants to see something on what you're like, did they actually have a sit down with Jasmy? I'll give you those references just in case you're a new person or just in case you forgot about some of this stuff. Let's get more into this specifically. So Genki Oda mentions that he was invited to participate in the Web3 festival held in Hong Kong last year. It was one of the largest crypto events in Asia with a total of 50,000 participants over 4 days. The venue was very lively. It was the first large-scale event since the end of crypto winter. But when he actually attended, he realized that the market could get even hotter. He also learned that the industry that he was in was able to recognize a trend, so he wanted, of course, to share it. Again, this is from Japanese to English translation. It's pretty good for the most part, but there's going to be some parts where maybe it gets kind of lost in translation a little bit. So Genki Oda mentions that, first of all, he wants to let people know that he felt after attending this event how serious the Hong Kong authorities are about the crypto market. Think about that statement and think about what happened with Jasmy on the second largest pump that we got. Actually might have been the largest, right? When we almost hit 3 cents was about some of the news from Hong Kong. Since many projects and investors have left Hong Kong since the coronavirus, one of the top priorities for the Hong Kong authorities is to once again enhance Hong Kong's appeal as an international financial city. Crypto has become a huge factor. And look at this. Crypto is still prohibited in mainland China, but Hong Kong has completely lifted the ban and is in fact very proactive. Again, just because Hong Kong is part of mainland China, since basically, what is it, guys? New Year's 1998, right? I think that's when it happened. When we went from colonial rule or being part of the former British, the whole thing of, quote unquote British rule, part of the monarchy. That's the key word I was going for. They still, even though it's under that umbrella of mainland China, you got to keep in mind this sector, is still leaning more towards the, quote unquote, the Western ways, if you will. And I always felt as though that you see a lot of that. Does it go away within the next 5-10 years? It's hard to say, but I don't see any signs. And basically, getting more into this, Genki Oda points out how, Hong Kong's proactive. So he said that he felt the Hong Kong market is becoming a hub connecting mainland Chinese investors with overseas markets. They have a panel discussion, and like you see here, specifically, it's about the future of virtual assets in Asia, trends, innovations, regulations. Now, the guy that's second from the left, if you didn't know who he is Genki Oda, right? Chairman of the Japan Virtual and Crypto Assets Exchange Association, aka the JVC, I say EA, okay? Obviously, other big people here, Yang Jinyan, who is the secretary of the Hong Kong Digital Asset Association. You have Duncan Shu of the Legislation Council, member of Technology and Innovations constituency. So a lot of big players. I always mention that Genki Oda is one of the best allies for Jasmy. There, of course, there he is talking, zoomed in. He's on the right. This is a big event, obviously. And at the time that he spoke at the panel, when he was on stage, he talked about the current state of the crypto markets, not just Hong Kong, but Japan, Singapore, and so on. Talked about, for example, remittances, bank accounts, how crypto's done business, how it's improved in a short time. But I love this part right here. And this is, again, back to Samuel Kim of, the screenshot that he took. He explained that self-regulatory organizations are functioning in Japan and that they are successfully compensating for areas that cannot be covered by law. He proposed that Hong Kong establish a self-regulatory organization and how he would be grateful for any cooperation in this regard. He's also announced that he will do so without any changes. Back to the reference from Samuel. Let's not get into that yet. We did before, I should say. But he had this example about Japan, about self-regulation, and that virtually 100% of customer assets being managed in cold wallets, and how he feels as though this measure has to be successful with no hacking damage caused by domestic businesses and so on. And he's, he introduced basically what he hasn't quite done yet, but a little bit of obviously what he did in the past. He goes on to state this: there has to be, this thing of the reviewing of operational structure, and how he feels as though that you got to have something in which you got to establish implementing voluntary anti-money laundering measures, right? Gives everybody a history lesson of Bitcoin. At some point, he even lets people know about the introduction of, for example, Bitcoin ATMs, I believe, in Japan in 2017. But this part about, the ability to conduct transactions with zero trust and low cost. Talks about the whole thing about African market. Obviously, we know that Ripple and Stellar are really expanding there. But again, some of these things mentioned, okay? So it gives a timeline for 2019 to 2024, the impact of all these accounts. But what's really interesting is when he gives the table trends here, and he breaks it down to the, these companies about domestic crypto asset openings, and the whole thing about release data for February, as in this year, and how there's over 9.5 million accounts, and the number is expected to reach 10 million accounts in regards to some of these domestic crypto asset account openings. Okay, so while we put so much focus on ETFs, keep in mind what they got going on, right? Especially in Japan. All right, and here's what's bolded. I will mention this as well. 10 million accounts is equivalent to 10% of the Japanese population. Crypto asset trading is no longer a minor thing, but is becoming widespread among the people. As this market becomes more active, not only in Europe and the United States, but also in Asia and Japan, or I should say Japan will once again consider it from a financial perspective as well from business perspective. He felt it necessary to reevaluate the potential of crypto from his perspective as well. Talks about the whole thing about ETFs for a second. I know there's a lot verbatim, but this is good stuff. You don't see this guy mentioning a lot of things all the time. And him and his connections to Jasmy, we'll get in here in a bit just in case you're new. But he says there have been many things that can be done, such as tax reform, which happened on April 1st, ETFs and leverage reform, while continuing to strengthen security and implement through anti-money laundering measures. Genki Oda feels as though that there's a need to do what needs to be done for Japan. Here in the United States, we talk about creating things that, make sense in regards to, America first. In Japan, when it comes to, them, I mean, good God, it's like protecting just that, their citizens first. I guess you could say some of these digital assets second, but in reality, it is actually first. I mean, here in the United States, we don't have anything even close to this, right? Not at all. Jumping more into this, on the outline, comparatively speaking, Japan been praised over the past a few years of having strong regulations of crypto. And this is what makes Jasmy stand out so much, because they were the first to be regulatory compliant in a country that has stronger regulations than even the United States. I mean, some people feel as though the United States doesn't really even have proper regulations, and that's true. But he says if we remain complacent, we will soon be overtaken. He was able to realize this once again. And you guys see that interview a while back, not too long ago. You had a key player from A-Star being interviewed. I can't remember his particular name, but he was talking about how Japan missed the boat when it came to Web 2. And they don't want to miss the boat again when it comes to Web 3, right? recognizing that they need to bring it back to like the glory days of Japan, embracing technology. Japan has always been looked upon as a country that stood out for technology, and hence why you recognize some key brands like Panasonic, Sony, et cetera, Toshiba, right? So I know it's a lot to get into, but this part, again, is the aha moment for me. He says, by participating in this event, he was able to see the keywords for the future of the crypto industry. And here you go. He says, that's DPIN, abbreviation for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks, which refers to Distributed Physical Infrastructure Networks. Again, I just read that twice, so I don't know why I did that. But DPIN, you see here, and then this citation really got me because I said, my God, MS, here's your aha moment that you've been waiting for. And KDDI, tomorrow together. So look at this. This is really big because for one, we know DeepIn, especially with Junction, right? And we know there's lots of other AI related projects with DeepIn. That's what makes it really stand out. But Japan Tokyo Electric Power Company and KDDI recently announced their DeepIn initiative partnership with DEA, not our DEA. And this was exactly the keyword. When the crypto is used in infrastructure development in the real world, a new value will emerge. When I see things like this, especially when it comes to electric power, and I think of like, Tadashi Morita. I know maybe you guys get tired of me talking about him as well, all right? There's a period of time where I talk too much about Genki Yoda. But Tadashi Morita, with his DC microgrid patents and so on, all this is right up this alley, 110%. And we will confirm some things, right? It's not just fluff. No way. As I elaborate more about this, he says here, Genki Yoda, when crypto is used in infrastructure development in the real world, a new value will emerge. Could this be in relation to the personal data locker? Hear me out. But he says people who are skeptical about crypto assets are asking, quote, what is the fundamental value of crypto assets? Genki Yoda mentions there are still opinions that crypto assets are different from things that have value like gold. I can't read this citation. Somebody like maybe level 8 can do it if he chooses to do so. But mentioned above, blockchain itself is in fact a digital asset that is highly resistant to tampering with information. And again, this is what stands out for me when it comes to Japan, especially Jasmy and so on, is action, reaction. Don't get it twisted, guys. Understand the bigger picture for even the big news about Microsoft, right? That was the previous outline that we had earlier. As we get more into this, you will see some of these other key things about, the issuer, not the state or a specific organization, but the issue is created by a program, and the amount of issuance is open. The supply amount shall not be arbitrarily manipulated. The price must be fair and determined by market. Interesting. What's cited here? Well, it's 2023, but you do have some of those examples about BTC and even Ethereum. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more about this because it's good stuff. And I know this is quite a bit to get into, but like he says, in reality, BTC's market capitalization exceeds the combined market capitalization of companies listed on the TSE with a market capitalization of, for example, 10 trillion yen. It exceeds the daily trading volume of the entire TSE. Here's a breakdown of that. Clearly, you can see Bitcoin, I guess the top right would represent gold. And then maybe even on the top left, I don't know if that's real world assets, but interesting. It says gold, which is often compared with gold. Again, the loss of translation, all right? It's okay. Actually, it has no underlying asset. Believe that the correct way to look at the value of crypto assets is to recognize that they are first assets in history whose prices can be determined fairly in the market and whose values can be openly and fairly evaluated by anyone using a program. Crypto market will continue to move into a new phase. He feels that many are being asked once again how they demonstrate their own value in this environment. Again, this is posted April 6, 2024. Here's a little bit more background of him. Genki Yoda. He's a social entrepreneur, investor. He also is executive officer at SBI Holdings, like I pointed out before. This part is your aha moment, just in case you're new to Jasmy. Executive director of BitPoint, Japan. He's also part of the World Economic Forum. I know, not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. So he's well connected. And when you take it over to this, and again, I meant to share this earlier because he mentioned Deepin. Well, who's at the forefront of this, right? So, boom, there's Junction, there's Deepin, AI permissionless chain incubated by Jasmy community. We know that Hara heads this up, and Hara is obviously thanking people that he's getting better with his English, right? But look at this. He's thanking for the invite of this event from YBB Capital. What are they? Web3 fund driving the future through innovative investments, businesses, so on and so forth. So again, back to even what Genki Yoda mentioned. Okay, jumping into this, here's the KDDI connection. This is really good stuff because remember how you saw it from the listing from Genki Yoda about KDDI. Let's jump into this. Just double checking the settings real quick. Okay, we're good. So on this, you have these initiatives. I'm going to blow this up a little bit more. All right. Maybe just a tad bit more. Okay. So what's it say? February 20th, 2024, initiatives towards a connected mobility society. Collaborating with Toyota for the early implementation of a safe and secure society. Now keep in mind, Genki Yoda, Jasmy, Toyota, WITS, all these things, right? Utilizing IoT and other sources, KDDI is advancing initiatives towards the realization of connected mobility society. Collaborating with Toyota, KDDI will start providing a solution in spring of 2024, which we're in right now, as an initiative to bring about a safe and secure mobility society. This solution involves big data. Guys, look at this stuff. Are we paying attention to this? Are we talking about, Caroline and pogo sticks? So this solution involves big data of people and vehicle movements, as well as open data such as past traffic accident information. And it's analyzed by what? AI. Analyzed by AI. Huh. Interesting. Who also does this? Junction, Deepin, AI. Incubated by who? Jasmy. Interesting. Okay. Do you have more? Yeah, I have more. Visualizes risky places. Since October 30, 2020, the companies have aimed to realize a society in which towns, homes, people, vehicles are all connected, jointly working on quote-unquote research and development of communication technologies and connected car technologies, as well as development of services that enrich people's lives. Bringing about green mobility society. Remember how we talked about the Race Cup Consortium? How many times do we talk about what Jasmy's looking to do in regards to a green, carbon-free society? Look at this. Bringing about safe and secure mobility society. Initiatives towards the realization of all this. Look at all the citations or references, where you want to call it. AI, cloud, energy management. The bigger picture of KDDI and Toyota towards the realization of all that. You have some of the stuff about the background. But this part's cool. The utilization of digital twins generated from KDDI's human travel data, Toyota's vehicle data, and open data such as the number of traffic accidents. Now, this is your aha moment, because you want to know something? Going forward, when we were talking about Tadashi Morita, we confirmed on the IEEE page about his patents. We referenced those patents. Again, watch that old deep dive if you're new. And then also was cited literally right below Tadashi Morita's many different publications was, for example, like cell batteries and stuff like that. But What was also mentioned was in regards to CMOS image sensors. Let me say what you want. That's big when it comes to IoT. As we get more into this, you will see this thing about communicated vehicles and the realization of safe, secure, connected devices. Again, everything we've been talking about tonight, even with the previous outline on the live show. Talks about a background on all this, climate changes, efforts to reduce CO2. Again, this is all right up Jasmy's alley. Okay, reducing CO2 emissions, all this stuff. What about a little bit more about Kddi, though, and specifically Toyota? Well, if you aren't aware of it, Kddi and Toyota will combine their services and state-of-the-art technologies to revitalize new mobility experience, including the time spent inside the car and making travel more fun. More fun, huh? Wow, that's really interesting. Because last I saw, when it comes to the Jasmy white paper, talks about specifically data harmonization. Platinum data harmonization, and some of the stuff about mobility as a service, MaaS. Remember how we did all these deep dives for, I don't know, a year and a half or so now, or more? Not just me, other members of our community, right? Bringing you guys all this stuff. Mobility as a service, Jasmy with software as a service. You see how it all comes together? Let's elaborate a little bit more about this and pound it home that much more. Going forward, Kddi and Toyota will combine their services, right? Information to advance research developments as a service developed for a connected mobile society. And there's this attachment, this theme, I should say. Bringing about safe and secure mobility society, Kddi and Toyota advancing efforts to implement society, risky place scoring, vehicle to bike, a system for alerting drivers with a car and bicycle location information connected to monitoring centers. Aha! Monitoring centers. That's interesting because, in the past we talked about some of these concepts. It's not just, Transcosmos is a different example, but there is going to be monitoring centers. And you better believe every monitoring center is going to need to protect that data that they're monitoring. I really feel as though this is where Jasmy comes into place. What about a little bit more about AI and Kddi? There's an overview. So there's an AI analysis of Kddi's location information collected in a 10-meter increment at intervals short as several minutes. User attributes of information, gender, age, personal identification data. Yeah. From smartphone signups. Interesting. I don't have it as we speak. I didn't think about this part, but it's okay. I'm human. Shout out to our brother, Icy Amphibian, because on Reddit, what did he point out? He also pointed out those examples, those visuals in regards to smartphone and basically the personal identification data in that regard and why it's so crucial to understand some of these things. So for me, I'm thinking to myself, all this stuff adds up. You just got to be willing to research it. Some of these people that I see, nothing against them. They'll come in and then they'll be like, they just want literally 10 seconds. It's just like, yeah, you know what? I used to have students like that. No offense to them. Where they just want to skate by and they just barely want to pass the class. Okay? And as a result, they do pass the class barely at the skin of their teeth. Mr. Stanley, can I pass this class with a 59.9%? Yeah, you're going to have to turn in something for that extra credit, but that's all they want to do. Are you one of those type of people that do that? Or do you want to be informed about what you're invested in and why you're invested into it and have an understanding of the broader picture? When I do another particular live show with you guys, I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of chopping some of this stuff up. It's not necessarily time sensitive. It's understanding that you could very well be paper handing Jasmy at $1 to $5 exit. All right. I know that sounds bold, but I'm going to back that up. All right. And I know that a lot of people didn't attend the Jasmy 8th year, X Space anniversary event, and that's okay. but I will bring that to you guys. So expect that. You're going to want to listen to that. Not financial advice, but for me personally, I had to reevaluate what I'm going to do for the future when it comes to my Jasmy holding. A little bit more about this because, I mean, come on, not every day we could talk about Toyota. So Toyota's probe data and automotive network data. That's funny, CAN data. Shout out to Rob, right? Up in Canada. Rob, you're part of that CAN data because you're Canadian. Anyway, shout out to our brother Rob. And open data such as road features and the number of traffic accidents, the system visualizes risk levels in grids. Back to Merida. So if you have Merida that literally has made patents that tie into the whole thing of DC microgrid technology, and you have everything literally being handed to you on a silver platter as far as the information and connecting everything to the bigger picture of things, why are people still so surprised to see Jasmy move first? I'm just throwing that out there, okay? More into this, you have this whole thing of the risk level of the grids consisting of approximately 50 meter cells and allowing users to see the risks. Those factors such as the ratio of elderly pedestrians and elderly cyclists and the proportion of suddenly braking cars in target locations, thus enabling the systems to be utilized for various traffic safety work, including data-based devising of effective traffic measures such as needs for installing new road signs. Again, having something in regards to CMOS image sensors would be right up this alley. And what happened when you saw Jasmy take off from the 0.0056 to over a penny, 2 pennies, and so on? It was the announcement of, for example, Hong Kong going all deep into Japan for semiconductors. Say what you want. That was incredibly interesting. Action, reaction. All right, what about this for a second? And I will elaborate more about this when I give you guys more of that breakdown from the coverage from Dip Metaverse and also Brian. And I was a little bit of a guest, but I didn't really, add a whole lot to it. But data used, look at this for a second. Kddi data. This is why we reference Kddi. It says number of pedestrians, number of cycles, age, etc. What about Toyota's data? Number of vehicles, average car speeds, number of sudden accelerations, probably not pronouncing that right, decelerations, number of monetary stops, ratio of vehicles turning left, right, so on and so forth. All that is valuable data. What about open data, road properties, number of traffic accidents, etc.? Again, when we give you those examples of Jasmy working with the government, you can see how it all comes together. This is not something which we just decided to do a bunch of research and be like, oh, this is cool. This is more than cool. This is literally understanding that if you got into crypto because you heard that topic of cryptocurrency, you wanted to see how that was going to be used to pay for goods and services and so on. How would you like to have one that literally ties into all these things? Literally the Internet of Things, right? Human travel data. Again, everything that was referenced, right? We just mentioned it. How does AI come into the whole bigger picture? All right, I want to show you guys this overview real quick. Vehicle to X. It's a solution that enables interactions and connections between cars, various things. First step towards implementation, Kddi data, Toyota developing technology that utilizes the location information of cars, two-wheel vehicles. I'm going to see if I could pull this up just for you guys who are newcomers, but, it's really interesting when you see some of this. Hold on a second. Just a second. I'll see if I could pull that up from actually, Mr. Icy Amphibian. And maybe I don't necessarily have it, but this is good too. This is actually a citation from 2 years ago, if you can imagine that, from Dip Metaverse. Look what it says, because I did need to give you guys a little bit more. professional accomplishments of our beloved Tadashi Morita. Was it mentioned? Professional accomplishments. Development of open energy systems from 2013 to 2022. Development of AC microgrid systems. Again, all this stuff we talked about. Development of the battery-supported bidirectional instantaneous current control inverter. Invented peer-to-peer energy exchange system. What about DC, though? Well, he invented the arc-free technology for DC circuit. What about the whole thing of contributing to the set of international standards, IEC? Yeah, he did that too. Research for open system dependability, Felica. Again, it's all there. And it's always worth pointing out. At least, I feel as though. All right, look at this for a second. The alerts to drivers in advance. And look at this, autonomous emergency brake system. I mean, all this is data that's being captured. Cars, smartphones, sensors, information. You don't think that a PDL would be used about this? Here's the thing, guys. The constant references to Toyota, like you see it again right there, server information Toyota, vehicle information Toyota, mobile network Kddi, vehicle safety and security, early detection, all this stuff. What about something in regards to May? That's coming up. Yeah, May. What's their initiatives, guys? Their initiatives is to bring about a green mobile society. The parties that open up a small data center. The ones that utilize immersive cooling technology. And the ones that have been conducting field experiments to process large amounts of data on the network edge. Network edge. Come on, guys. Think about that for a second. Network edge. Do you understand where we're really going with this? We talked about edge computing multiple times. Not just me. Members of the Jasmy Research Consortium. Talk about edge computing. Now you have the whole thing with AI. You kind of have an idea of where we're going with this. I think you do. And I do appreciate people like MS that took the liberty to get more into this. Design your road trip. I mean, all this stuff, right? National, and boom, how about this? National Police Agency, right? All these citations, all of it, right? It's not fluff. So much things to cite here. All right, back to this about Genki Oda. Shout out to Houston, another great researcher. I've also covered some of these things as well in the past, but I do appreciate what he has. He says, quote, a picture, guys, think about this. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Some people get upset when I post something that's old. They're like, oh, why you post something old? It's called an outline. You got to post and share the past, the present, and an idea of where we're going in the future. So look at this. And thank you again, Houston, if you ever happen to watch this. Pictures 1,000 words, or worth 1,000 words. In the comments section, you will find an old article, interview with Genki Oda and who? Kazumasa Sato. This was cited from Bloomberg. I cite them all the time when it comes to those updates in regards to Investor Place. I didn't see anything super bullish or worth mentioning this week for Investor Place. I do apologize on that. But if it's something worth sharing, I definitely will. So, you see them. Japan crypto exchanges seek loser margin trading, right? Genki Oda. There's a picture of literally Genki Oda on the left and Jasmy's Kazumasa Sato on the right. And that was from an old article from, was it 2023? But it's definitely worth pointing out. Worth pointing out. What about this? A little bit more from Genki Oda. This is from note.com/Genki Oda. Blockchain makes it possible. The near future Web3. We posted about this before. March 17, 2022. Bitpoint. Japan. Genki Oda. Blockchain makes it possible. The near future Web3. Posted by him. Genki Oda. Who is he? Founder and CEO of Bitpoint. It gives you the whole background about this. Is there a Jasmy connection? Just in case you're new. Guys, understand. A lot of you guys already know this. But there's a lot of new people into Jasmy and they don't. Look at this. Genki Oda invited to speak at the 23rd Japan International Financial System Forum 2022, held till March 17, 2022. The topic of near future Web3, achieved with blockchain. This time he participated in a panel discussion together with Mr. Kazumasa Sato, president of Jasmy Corporation, the project parent company of crypto asset Jasmy, which was listed on BitPoint last October of, obviously, was it 2021? Goes on to mention Japan International Financial System Forum. It's an annual forum mainly for financial institutions. Understand, even Jasmy's plugged to finance democracy. And since then, the participants are mainly from financial institutions. Again, mainly from what financial institutions? This is your plug of why Jasmy has entered a while back last year, that announcement of finance democracy. Get used to it. You're going to see more about it. But the sessions are professional and they're high quality. And of course, the whole thing of discussing, even back then, the topic, I should say, of crypto assets, blockchain, and how blockchain makes it possible for the near future of Web3. We are in that future. Here's a profile about him just a little bit more. It says, since he started his business in 2001, Genki Oda has been supporting venture social entrepreneurs, business turnarounds. Again, it wasn't just Shinzo Abe in 2015. You had Genki Oda all the way back in 2001. Founded the first company, Student. DAS 2002 supported for entrepreneurs. 2003 started venture investments, just like we talked about in regards to the coverage from the one and only Tim Draper when it came to Swiftcoin. You know what I mean? Notice how all these guys, very similar thing. Birds of feather flock together. 2011 started a business turnaround. Received medal with dark blue ribbon. We talked about some of these things, right? But when I say that this guy is Jasmy's one of their most important allies, you literally see it. Just in case you've never seen this before, director of Japan Crypto Asset Business Associate, JCABA, I guess you could say. There's JVCEA also, Japan Virtual and Crypto Asset Exchange Association, vice chairman. What about the FSA, right? That's the Japanese version of the SEC, licensed cryptocurrency exchange. So all this stuff, just in case you've never seen it. Good points philosophy, making tomorrow be better. And of course, here's the big thing. BitPoint listed Jasmy from October 26, 2021, first in Japan, Jasmy. So again, you have to always remember and never dismiss the presented material. If you're still wondering why you saw Jasmy literally move first, it's again, where are we at? Japan is leaps and bounds ahead of us in the United States and other places in the world. It shouldn't be any surprise when you take more of your own deep dive into some of these things. Now, in conclusion, I want to leave you guys with this. Genki Oda of SBI Japan stated that in Japan, Tokyo Electric Power Company and Kddi recently announced their D-PIN initiative in partnership with the DEA. And this was exactly the key word. When crypto is used for using infrastructure development, for example, you have to keep in mind, you will see the development in the real world, like new value, and which ones will emerge, right? What is the fundamental value of some of these assets like he talked about? So you have to keep in mind that utilizing IoT and other resources, KDDI is advancing initiatives towards the realization of a connected mobile society, like we talked about before. But it's this collaboration, everybody, in regards to Toyota, right? Where KDDI will start providing a solution. And in the spring that we're currently in, 2024, this is why this is worth pointing out. And let me elaborate on this in conclusion to wrap up the coverage of the night. In that passage from Genki Oda, Toyota, KDDI, the whole shebang, you have to keep in mind there's several positive implications, for Japan, KDDI, and even Jasmy. So for Japan, it's understanding the infrastructure, the development with crypto. Japan is at the forefront, like I mentioned, of exploring specifically cryptocurrency's potential in real world applications like infrastructure. Again, if you missed the whole coverage of Microsoft, you want to go back to that. And it's the infrastructure, like the development and how that evolves. But this could lead to new forms of value creation and economic growth. I think it is. Those citations that we gave you earlier, even referencing what's going on from a defense point of view for Japan by keeping their country, quote unquote, safe even from cyber attacks, by having literally legislation that was written into policy dating back to from 2014 and being solidified to go further with the late great Shinzo. Excuse me, I got all these names mixed up. Shinzo Abe's address to the nation and even to the United States was massive, right? And to see that snowball effect to where we're at now is absolutely profound. But it's that whole thing of value creation and economic growth. You have to understand, by addressing skepticism about crypto like Genki Odo did, it demonstrates practical applications of crypto in essential sectors like, obviously, infrastructure. Japan can address skepticism by surrounding cryptocurrencies' fundamental use case and value. Now, in regards to KDDI, since it was mentioned tonight, they position themselves as a leader in connected mobility. Now, what is another example of being a leader in connected mobility that recently happened with Jasmy not that long ago, like over a week ago, a couple weeks ago, was about the whole thing of, the partnership of Jasmy and Panasonic. But I gave you guys solid evidence and actual research to show you what's going on in Kansas, what's going on in Oklahoma, what's going on in Nevada. And it's that Panasonic connection to Tesla when we talk about cell batteries, and we talked about the patents of Tadashi Morita and how you literally see the publications of what he's done in regards to quote unquote cell batteries, right? And that's big because it also referenced things like CMOS image sensors. And as we know, when it comes to Tesla vehicles, they have a lot of that IoT all around the car. So this whole thing of KDDI to position themselves as a leader in connected mobility, in the perspective from Japan, is massive. But KDDI's collaboration with Toyota, right? You heard me right. With Toyota, it's considered quote unquote risky place scoring, does in fact position KDDI as a leader in developing solutions for a safe and secure connected mobility society. It's the indirect partnerships, and it's the indirect things that are plugging into one thing that leads to another. See what you want. It's like, even if you had a particular gaming device, right? Do you necessarily buy everything from that particular gaming device by that brand? Let's say it was Nintendo. No, you wouldn't. You would buy third-party stuff and plug it in. You should literally look at things like, it's not about one connector from one brand. It's many connectors from many brands to solve a particular use case. Should you treat Jasmy in that light? Well, you're going to have to answer that for yourself. But I want everybody to keep in mind that the bottom line for KDDI, Toyota, Jasmy, and so on is securing a connected mobility society, right? As far as what was recently announced. How can we leverage big data and AI? Hear me out on this as well. KDDI's utilization of big data, AI, and open data does in fact showcase their capabilities in cutting-edge technologies. Again, back to the reference I was talking about earlier, edge computing or edge AI. Ever wonder why we point that out as far as us researchers and so on? It's a big deal because it attracts more partnerships. They understand where we're going with this new world and new technology, Web3. But in conclusion, to close it out, we have to obviously mention the last part. And is it Jasmy? Is it implied that they will have a potential role in DPIN and the initiative? Well, we know what the answer is. The answer is yes. And if you're saying the answer is no, have you even looked into the concept of specifically Janction? And for me, for a lot of people, I don't think they have, unless you're on X, right? So here is Janction once again. And what is reference once again? DPIN, AI, permissionless, incubated by Jasmy community. Who heads it up? Hara-san, right? Yeah, Mr. Hara. So that's obviously what we're pointing out. And you have to keep in mind that Jasmy in itself, this passage in regards to the role in DPIN and that initiative, it's a collaboration, guys. Don't overthink it. When it comes to Tokyo Electric Power Company, Kddi, I think there's something there. It'll be revealed at the end of the day. While we won't see nothing officially yet, I think that will come into fruition. That's just my own personal belief. But guess what? I haven't been wrong on a lot of stuff so far. And while Jasmy is not explicitly mentioned, their focus on secure data sharing in IoT environments does in fact align themselves with DPIN's goals. Again, reference Hara if you don't believe me. Reference the whole thing of Janction. It's literally there. You just got to be willing to look more into it. But it does align with DPIN's goals, and it does suggest the whole notion of a potential role for Jasmy, of course, in the initiative. What about the whole thing of like, does this align with KDDI's focused area? Well, Jasmy's focus in itself on secure data monetization does in fact align with KDDI's initiatives in connecting mobility and enriching people's lives through technology. Again, back to the white paper. Data harmonization, platinum data, right? You know, we talk about Bitcoin and digital gold. This is platinum data. And last I checked, isn't platinum still worth more in gold in some places? You know, because it doesn't tarnish. I don't know. Call it what you want. Don't shoot the messenger. But in my opinion, it does suggest potential collaboration opportunities, especially when we connect everything. And we really did connect with the whole thing of the bigger picture of like, yeah, you know, Toyota and so on, right? Overall, I want you all to keep in mind that these things tied into Japan's tech sector, KDDI potentially playing a leading role in all of this, and Jasmy having opportunities to contribute through its data security solutions. How? By all the things we showed. All those things in regards to like the traffic, car accidents happening, stop signs, who slammed on their brakes, what pedestrians are walking across the street, how old are they, how young are they, who's on their phones, you know, things like that. While the text that we got into today doesn't explicitly mention any confirmed collaborations between KDDI and Jasmy, in my opinion, it's already there. How do we know that? Because Genki Oda is already there, all right? And him being shown with Jasmy and him all in on Jasmy years ago solidifies this thesis, if you want to call it, of that. If you still are a person that, you know, I'm not trying to convince you necessarily to believe the same way I do, but guys, let's just be honest. There was a time in which nobody even believed in the whole thing of Jasmy and Panasonic. You know, but us researchers, we pointed out some of those things a long time ago. You know, Jesse, over 2 years ago. Myself, about a year and a half ago. A lot of us talked about this. Are you going to see things pop off when it's too late? Are you even into Jasmy? You only want to get in when the price is sky high. That would set you up for failure. The key thing, like anything, is to get in when it's still a good time to have an entry point. So with that said, guys, I wanted to conclude this, bring it to you guys, take it as you will. I just provide information. It's not financial advice. I appreciate everybody for being here. We're going to get into the last bit of comments, see if there's anything I missed. I just double checked the other screen, and I do see that we have a total head count 67 on YouTube, and 445 on X for a combined total of 512. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for showing up big tonight. Let's kick it into the comments from YouTube, and then it's actually a combination of YouTube and X. So let's take a look. So lots of comments, obviously, to catch up on, and we'll see what we basically have. All right. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I remember that, Brian. All right. You talk about, at least it caught your guys' attention. All right, let's welcome April Cornwell. She says, "Hey Max." Well, shout out to you, April, aka hey. All right, Roddy Brown. Let's go, Max. Jasmy is the future. Yes, and shout out to the one and only Raw Mass, the crypto future. All right, 99. Give him a follow. All right, let's go further down and welcome some more of you guys. You're just saying stop by to say hello, give me some love. Thanks. Thank you. I do appreciate that. April. All right. Stefan Eccles here. He says, don't forget to like. Thanks, Stefan. I was always thinking to myself, Stefan, I was like, what name, your name, what does it remind me of? And I finally, it just came to me. I don't know why. It's Steve Urkel. Shout out to everybody that was back in the 90s, right? Was it 80s, 90s? Was it just 90s? I can't remember. Family Matters, man. That was such a great show. Carl Winslow, Steve Urkel. So the white Steve Urkel, aka Stefan Eckel. No, that sounds bad. Anyway, Max, just for that, I'm leaving. I'm unsubscribing, right? No, I'm kidding. But Stefan Eckel, that's what it reminded me. I was like, what does that sound so familiar? That's what it's from. Hopefully you like that show too. If you've ever seen it, great show. I miss that show. I'm gonna have to watch some reruns of that show. That's just good, wholesome comedy from back in the day. All right. Let's read this from James Marler. Max, what do you think about Cardano? Well, I'll just leave it with this. I've been holding it since the end of 2021. And yeah, I bought, it was when I was new to, I guess you could say somewhat new to crypto. I mean, you got to keep in mind, I had my own journey. So I went from like meme coins to understanding like utility. And I was like, oh, my friend told me, it's just like, you got to go all in on Cardano. So I put into like about 4K into Cardano. I still have a lot of it, but I bought it too high of an amount. I'm still holding it. I do believe long term it will still pay off. I didn't sell any. I don't talk about it. Maybe that's disappointing, but I'm part of the Cardano army, if there's such a thing of calling it that. I'm part of the Hoskinson's chess club. I'm a part of the Hoskinson's, I don't know, knitting club. I'm part of Hoskinson's, Hot Pocket D&D club. Nothing against D&D. I love D&D, by the way. But yeah, I'm part of that club. So there you go, James. Anyway, that probably doesn't help you with. That's no research. That's just my opinion, right? Anyway, James Marler. He thanks Tim. He learned about Jasmy. He used to not take it seriously, but when it started reading about it, became one of his top. Very cool. Next time I get with you guys, I'll try to give you guys some real explanations by sharing some stuff from Dip and also Brian that I'm going to chop up for you guys. All right. So much potential. Jasmy, Sony CEOs running the company gives them confidence. That's cool. But yeah, Cardano's another play he's bullish on. Right on. All right, let's see here. Stefan Eckel, Jasmy 100X, Kevin Kiesler. Welcome. Max dropping some alpha. That's cool. Thank you very much, Kevin. Guys, always welcome people that you normally don't see. Boomer F and Sooner, who came from Rob's stream and joined us over here. Thank you very much. Maybe you're still on both. I guess Rob ended his stream. That's why a lot of people showed up all of a sudden. That's cool. Thanks, Rob. I should have invited you on. I should have, anyway. James Marler, Max, your show is awesome. Just found your show about a week ago. Thanks, man. I do really appreciate that. I do try to deliver solid content and not fluff. And if guys, I'm telling you flat out, if you see Fluffy Fluff with the banana hammocks, you tell them that Max said hello. All right. Man Cave, is Junction going to be a whole different token we're going to be able to buy? That is a good question. The way I look at it when it comes to Junction is, there's been other researchers in the past that said, Jasmy's going to layer 2. It's going to be technically a V2. Is Jasmy your particular thing in that? We're going to get into a little bit more about that as the specifics of all that come out. There's not enough there yet, but don't have the answer to that, I'll be honest. But I will definitely look more into that. My main thing when it comes to Junction is the technology is what excites me the most. And to see how that will leverage Jasmy, that's where it's at for me. But that is a great question. I've seen other people ask about that. I will try to get a real answer. I don't know everything. There's things that kind of even slip past me that maybe, it's like, oh yeah, old Max should have looked into that. Yep. It's called I'm human. I am not AI, right? Anyway. But I will get you an answer on that. Great question though. Okay. All right, let's go further down. Stefan Eckel. Jasmy comes out, so I don't know what you're saying there, but that's all right. Kevin Kiesler. Jasmy surprise people. Ready for your face to melt. My God. If you want your face to melt, come to Phoenix, Arizona. Basically in the height of July, late July, and when it's like 122 degrees and it's like a new record high. Yeah, you feel like you just stepped into a blast furnace, man. It's crazy. I don't see how people could survive Miami, Like I've been to Miami in the wintertime. Beautiful, right? But it was just still a little bit of that humid. I was like, man, I can imagine how bad it would be in summer. Max, you slam the nail on the head and build a solid relationship with Jasmy. Thanks, brother, to the show. Thanks. Oh, you're very welcome. You guys are the best. Thanks for the info. You're headed to bed. Ah, cool. Well, sweet dreams for the Rice Crop Consortium. Let's go. All right. Stefan Eckel. Max, I thank you. It's just that I am a guy who says thanks to your sources, how helping out with your show. Oh, no problem, Stefan. You're like one of the nicest guys, man. I really appreciate it. Don't worry. You're all good. Canucks, Vancouver Canucks are really all right. Don't be fooled. Huh. All right, let's read this. This is from John Francis. He always tells me I got the meats, right? Dude, if Stella doesn't appreciate soon, I'll have to breastfeed off Danelle Dixon for milk. Good night, peeps. Good work, Max. Shame on me. Wow. You guys really got a thing for Danelle. I mean, she is, she's not too shabby, I have to admit. Anyway. But she is a married woman. But anyway, maybe that doesn't matter. So, all right. Boomer F and Sooner. Thank you guys. John Francis. Maybe they would tokenize Toyotas with Jasmy for rental leases and ownership. Remember how we did talk about drive shares? Remember that? We talked about Uber. We talked about Lyft. Go back and watch the old programs if you guys haven't seen it. Why not tokenize it? Private equity taking. Good point. All right. Multi-Planet Pro says, yo. Welcome. Let's see here. S says, people keep saying Jasmy tokenomics is no good, and it's only pumping due to community. Those are the same people that look at Jasmy as being a meme token. It's not a meme token. Hey, Selmo Flood. Good to see you, brother. How you doing tonight, Selmo? Nice max subscribers. Yeah, it's just a lot of. I'm really thankful about X. It's a frustration I have. I really wish I was monetized on X, but it's going to take a lot. If you guys notice, I have been ramping up my game on X by posting a lot of research, and I'm getting a lot more following. I think it's going to naturally happen. You just, as the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. But I really look forward to getting, monetized on X. So love you too, buddy. Thank you, Calvin the Fifth, and shout out to Calvin with the T6 glider, right? River, you're on my radio, Max. It's good radio. All right, cool stuff. Elon Muff with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Mr. Elon Muff, sideline reporter. The other day I filled in for a class. Believe it or not, it was second graders. Right? I was like, what the heck, I was like, I could use a few extra bucks, and Elon Muff told me something very bad. He was telling me that, when it comes to some of these kids coming up to me and they're like, "Mr. Stanley, can I go to your restroom?" And I say something about rating the neck and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell these kids this. These kids are sweet. One of the kids, I don't know, he had something. His germs rubbed off on me, and yesterday, man, I was like, I want to do a show, but it was not good anyway. But I'm good now. But thank you for $2 super chat. Juan Perez, thank you so much. You'll come on anytime. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll have to get you on maybe next time and go from there. Some FUD. Is Solana still having issues? Last I checked, that's what I saw, but I'll have to maybe check more into it tomorrow. That's going to be the last comment of the night. Guys, I really want to thank you for tuning in. You guys rock. Please smash the like on your way out. And if anything, check out the links in the description. If you don't have a cold storage solution, you'll see a little quick commercial, if you will, to close things out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk, obviously, a little bit more about Jasmy. I may drop the Bombshell for Stellar possibly tomorrow. I'm kind of undecided with it. It's non-time sensitive, but we'll see. All right, we'll see. I do still have that my AI outline I'm going to get into a little bit later. Probably be on a Sunday, right? Got to make sure I have my availability set aside. I'm telling you guys, all you guys are watching right now, when you're on X or YouTube, you will know when I finally release that info in regards to AI. It's not just about Jasmy. It's about a lot of these. Fetch, right? A lot of these things tied to AI. Even Stellar and AI. That's a little hint. And I might do it tomorrow. I don't know. Okay? It just depends on what's going on also with updates. All right. You guys rock. Really do appreciate you. We will catch you on the last one. And again, check out the Decent wallet if you choose to do so, if you want. Sayonara from the Rice Crop Consortium. Let's go. Jasmy, not a scam. Let's go. Stefan Eckel, no scam. Corey Bibe, not a scam. Let's go. Bye-bye. Guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, we'll point this out. And it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you can get two of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on ledger that I kind of split it up on and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one to use.